There we go, live. Welcome to the Stanley Parable. I was playing it by myself and I figured it'd be more fun to play it on stream. Maybe other people could give their 2 cents on what to do. Make sure... Hope the volume's okay. My voice is usually either louder or too quiet compared to the game. Set that up. Hopefully no crazy feedback today from the microphone. Perfect. So we're in the control center. We've been following the story as the narrator is guiding us. Mind controls idle, awaiting input. Let's turn it on.
Oh, Stanley, you didn't just activate the controls, did you? After they kept you enslaved all these years,
Yeah.
you go and you try to take control of the machine for yourself. Is that what you wanted? Control? Oh, Stanley, I applaud your effort, I really do. But you need to understand, there's only so much that machine can do. You were supposed to let it go, turn the controls off, and leave.
You didn't say that.
If you want to throw my story off track, you're going to have to do much better than that. I'm afraid you don't have nearly the power you think you do. For example, and I believe you'll find this pertinent, Stanley suddenly realized he had just initiated the network's emergency detonation system. In the event that this machine is activated without proper DNA identification, nuclear detonators are set to explode, eliminating the entire complex.
What kind of place
How
is
long
this?
until detonation then? Let's say, 2 minutes. Now this is making things a little more fun, isn't it, Stanley?
No.
It's your time to shine. You are the star. It's your story now. Shape it to your heart's desires. Oh, this is much better than what I had in mind. What a shame we have so little time left to enjoy it. Mere moments until the bomb goes off. But
5
what
green?
precious moments each one of them is. More time to talk about you, about me, where we're going, what all this means. I barely know where to start. What's that? You'd like to know where your co-workers are? A moment of solace before you're obliterated? All right, I'm in a good mood. You're gonna die anyway. I'll tell you exactly what happened to them. I erased them. I turned off the machine. I set you free. Of course, that was merely in this instance of the story. Sometimes when I tell it, I simply let you sit there in your office forever, pushing buttons endlessly and then dying alone. Other times, I let the office sink into the ground, swallowing everyone inside.
Do
or
they
I
have
let it
numbers
burn
on
to a
them?
crisp. I have to say this, though. This version of events has been rather amusing. Watching you try to make sense of everything
that a
and take
10?
back the control wrested away from you, it's quite rich. I almost hate to see it go.
Well, then don't kill
But
me.
I'm sure whatever I come up with on the next go-around will be even better.
That's a 10.
My goodness, only 34 seconds left.
You're not
But
helping.
I'm enjoying this so much. You know what? To hell with it. I'm going to put some extra time on the clock. Why not?
Well, thanks.
These are precious additional seconds, Stanley. Time doesn't grow on trees. Oh, dear me. What's the matter, Stanley? Is it that you have no idea where you're going or what you're supposed to be doing right now? Or did you just assume when you saw that timer that something in this room was capable of turning it off?
Yeah.
I mean, look at you. Running from button to button, screen to screen, clicking on every little thing in this room. These numbered buttons, no, these colored ones. Or maybe this big red button, or this door. Everything, anything, something here will save me. Why would you think that, Stanley?
What big red
that this
button?
video game can be beaten? Won? Solved? Do you have any idea what your purpose in this place is? Stanley, you're in for quite a disappointment. But here's a spoiler for you. That timer isn't a catalyst to keep the action moving along. It's just seconds ticking away to your death. You're only still playing instead of watching a cutscene because I want to watch you for every moment that you're
Blue
powerless.
3?
To see you made humble. This is not a challenge. It's a tragedy. You wanted to control this world, that's fine. but I'm going to destroy it first, so you can't.
Well,
Take a look at the clock, Stanley.
Nope.
That's 30 seconds you have left to struggle. 30 seconds until a big boom and then nothing. No ending here, just you being blown to pieces. Will you cling desperately to your frail life, or will you let it go peacefully? Another choice. Make it count, or don't. It's all the same to me, all a part of
There's
the
too
show.
much.
And believe me,
Too
I
much
will
shaking?
be laughing at every second of your inevitable life from the moment we fade in until the moment I say happily ever after.
Well, I failed. Is there actually a way to beat that sequence? Like maybe you touch a color and then you go over and touch one of the numbers? Because it looked like all those light bluish ones had the number 10 on it. The end is never the end. Nothing insightful. I still hate Mondays. 428.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
You're right. Because you erased them. Single file. Where does that go? Wait, is that just where it came from? No, it's not. Wait, I need to turn this one off. What? That one does something? Input received purple. Is that purple? I think it's purple. A lot of these seem like they've been empty for a long time. What does that one say?
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
We already went left, so now it's my turn.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
Oh, yeah, I'll go admire it.
Ah, yes, truly a room worth admiring.
It's
It had
beautiful.
really been worth the detour after all, just to spend a few moments here in this immaculate, beautifully constructed room.
Number one,
Stanley
Dad.
simply stood here, drinking it all in.
What does that one say? Can't get to it. What does this one say? Can't read it.
Yes, really, really worth it being here in the room. A room so utterly captivating that even though all your co-workers have mysteriously vanished, here you sit looking at these chairs and some paintings. Really worth it.
I want a cold drink. I want the green one.
At this point, Stanley's obsession with this room bordered on creepy and reflected poorly on his overall personality.
Coffee
It's
nut.
possible that this is why everyone left.
Oh. Stanley
But
was
at
a
last,
creep, so
he'd had
everyone
enough
left.
of the amazing room and took the first open door on his left to get back to business.
You know, I gotta see what's over here, though.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
Do not lie. If you are lying right now, stop. Is this turning into a platformer? Can I open this? What is that? What is that? A key card. Where am I gonna find a key card? And I can't jump. Penalty for jumping off the cargo lift, 5,000. Do not jump from the cargo lift while it is in motion. Will cause death. There's some wires.
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here.
I'm going for it.
I'm not your enemy, really. But in his eagerness to prove that he is in control of the story and no one gets to tell him what to do, Stanley leapt from the platform and plunged to his death.
Yes.
Good job, Stanley.
So I can
Everyone
die.
thinks you are very powerful.
Does that mean I owe like $6,000 now? Because I moved while it was moving, and I jumped off the cargo lift. I should have known that it would have let you. Okay, we're going.
All of his co-workers were gone.
Mm-hmm.
What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had sent a memo.
Can I turn it off through the wall? No. Go this way.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
Ah, it's so beautiful
Yes,
here. I
this
can't believe I
room.
get to enjoy this place.
But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
I am gonna go.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
Yes, so $6,000.
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. Please, stop trying to make every decision by yourself. Now, I'm not asking for me, I'm asking for her.
For her?
This is it, Stanley. Your chance to redeem yourself, to put your work aside, to let her back into your life. She's been waiting.
What are you talking about? Who exactly? I thought this was just supposed to be me and you, Mr. Narrator. Can I push the horn? Wits. That's dark.
That's her, Stanley. You need to be the one to do this, to reach out to her.
I could probably unplug
If you
it.
can truly place your faith in another, then pick up the phone.
Jeez. So what's happening? Ooh.
Oh, Stanley, is that you? Hold on, sweetie. Sorry to keep you waiting. I'm just pulling the bread out of the oven. All right. Okay, there we go. All right, now, I want you to come in and tell me all about your day.
Gotcha! Oh, come on. Did you actually think you had a loving wife?
I thought I was going to
Who'd
get
wanna
attacked
commit
by a
their life
demon
to
or
you?
something.
I'm trying to make a point here, Stanley. I'm trying to get you to see something. Come inside. Let me show you what's really going on here.
As much as I would love to go inside, there's stuff over here.
Sorry, but you're in my story now.
Okay. Oh, you're so weird.
This is a very sad story about the death of a man named Stanley.
I don't want to push A anymore. Now that you want me to, I don't want to.
Stanley is quite a boring fellow. He has a job that demands nothing of him, and every button that he pushes is a reminder of the inconsequential nature of his existence.
Yep.
Look at him there, pushing buttons, doing exactly what he's told to do.
I can't do anything
Now
else.
he's pushing a button. Now he's eating lunch. Now he's going home. Now he's coming back to work. One might even feel sorry for him, except that he's chosen this life.
Can I push any other button? Crisp.
But in his mind, he can go on fantastic adventures.
Indeed.
From behind his desk, Stanley dreamed of wild expeditions into the unknown, fantastic discoveries of new lands. It was wonderful. And each day that he returned to work was a reminder that none of it would ever happen to him. And so he began to fantasize about his own job.
You took away my
First, he
TV?
imagined that one day while at work, he stepped up from his desk to realize that all of his co-workers, his boss, everyone in the building had suddenly vanished off the face of the earth. The thought excited him terribly.
Just spend time with the boys?
So he went further. He imagined that he came to two open doors and that he could go through either. At last, choice. It barely even mattered what lay behind each door.
That's true.
The mere thought that his decisions would mean something was almost too wonderful to behold.
So tantalizing.
As he wandered through this fantasy world, he began to fill it with many possible paths and destinations. Down one path lay an enormous round room with monitors and mind controls. And down another was a yellow line that weaved in many directions. And down another was a game with a baby. And he called it the Stanley Parable.
I don't have any kids.
It was such a wonderful fantasy, and so in his head he relived it again, and then again, and again, over and over, wishing beyond hope that it would never end, that he might always feel this free. Surely there's an answer down some new path, mustn't there be?
Mustn't.
Perhaps if he played just one more time. But there is no answer. How could there possibly be? In reality, all he's doing is pushing the same buttons he always has. Nothing has changed. The longer he spends here, the more invested he gets, the more he forgets which life is the real one. And I'm trying to tell him this, that in this world he can never be anything but an observer, that as long as he remains here, he's slowly killing himself. But he won't listen to me. He won't stop. Here, watch this. Stanley, the next time the screen asks you to push a button, do not do it.
I'm just doing what you told me. Any secrets? Any secrets? You made me do it.
You see? Can he just not hear me? How can I tell him in a way that he'll understand that every second he remains here, he's electing to kill himself? How can I get him to see what I see? How can I make him look at himself?
Hey, this is gonna go on YouTube, so you gotta stop it with that phrase.
I suppose I can't, not in the way I want him to. But I don't make the rules. I simply play to my intended purpose, the same as Stanley. We're not so different, I suppose. I'll try once more to convey
We're not
all this
so
to
different,
him.
you and
I'm
I.
compelled to. I must. Perhaps, well, maybe this time he'll see. Maybe this time. And I tried again, and Stanley pushed a button. And I tried again, and Stanley pushed a button. And I tried.
This is real weird. The end is loading.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
I like work, I just hate my boss.
No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
You're right. Where could they be? It's off this time.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Were these lights always off?
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
Yeah, I'm gonna go and admire, and then...
The lounge was sublime, a work of art. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Okay.
And so he detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track.
I don't know. There's this very nice button. I'm gonna push the button. Going down? So every time I do something weird, does the narrator, like, take back
But
control?
Stanley didn't want to go back to the office. He wanted to wander about and get even further off track. So now in order to get back, he needed to go, from here it's, left.
Oh, I can't go back to the lift.
Oh, no, it's to the right, my mistake.
Is it?
No, not the right. Why would I have ever said it was to the right? What was I thinking?
What were
it's
you
clearly...
thinking?
Oh dear, would you hold on for a minute, please?
Rustling papers.
Now, let's see. We went down right, left, down, left, right. Yep, okay, yes. I've got it now. This story is absolutely, definitely this way.
Up, down, left, right, up, down, left, right. Are you sure? Okay, I guess it is. What is... Is there anyone in there? No? Can I mess with this genie? I think it's a generator. Oh, we're up top!
No, 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 no. This isn't right at all. You're not supposed to be here yet. This is all a spoiler. Quick, Stanley, close your eyes. Okay. We just have to get back to, oh, who am I kidding? It's all rubbish now. The whole story completely unusable. How about, rather than waste my time trying to salvage this nonsense, we'll just restart the game from the beginning. And this
Okay.
time, suppose we don't wander so far off track, hmm? Okay, from the top.
There's gonna be something different. I still hate Mondays. What is this still under there? Yeah.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
It's off. That's off. And this one is still off. What's that? Oh wait, it's upside down. Knowing your city. Maybe that was just a thing with the textures. It looked like there was light that flashed right here. Wait, isn't there supposed to be cameras watching?
When Stanley...
Whoa.
Wait, what? No, I restarted. I swear, I definitely restarted the game over, completely fresh. Everything should be... Oh, did something change? Stanley, did you change anything when we were back in that room with all the monitors?
It wasn't
Did
me.
you move the story somewhere or... Hold on. Why am I asking you? I'm the one who wrote the story.
Yeah.
It was right here just a minute ago. I know for sure that it's here somewhere. Okay, then. It's an adventure. Come, Stanley. Let's find the story.
Let's go this way. I'm in the back rooms.
I'll say it. This is the worst adventure I've ever been on. I can promise you there definitely was a story here before. Do we need to restart the game again?
No, let me find it.
Well, I find it unlikely that we'll ever progress by starting over and over again, but it's got to be better than this.
No.
Okay, let's give it a shot.
I made
Why
it in
not?
here. Dang. I should have just went in there to begin with. Now it'll have changed again. I hate Mondays. Everything's normal in here.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
What's this one say? Be my Valentine? Stop. I look this way every time, expecting there to be a new hallway.
Okay, yep, it's worse. I might be remembering this wrong. It's possible the story is back where we just came from. Why don't we go back the other direction and see if we missed anything?
Did we? Is there a secret door? I better leave before he decides to lock me in there.
Aha! I knew we'd miss something. The story. Here it comes. No, wait. Never mind. Not the story. Okay, let's head back the other way and retrace our steps.
Okay. This place is disgusting.
Now this... Well, I'll be honest. I don't recognize this place at all. Is this the story? I don't think so.
Waiting
I
room?
can't quite recall, but I believe my story took place in an office building. Is that correct? Do you remember, Stanley? Well, do you know what? Since I've completely forgotten what we were supposed to be doing, how about this? You win!
Yes!
Congratulations!
Speed
I know you
run
did a lot of
world
hard work,
record.
and it really paid off. So, good job. Oh, no. No, I don't feel right about this at all. We both know you didn't put in any actual work for that win. Some people win fair and square,
Hey.
and this was not one of those situations.
I clicked some
Okay?
buttons.
I'm getting weirded out by whatever this place is. I don't care what might happen this time. I have to restart.
Are you sure that's a good idea? Because things have been going a little off the rails. The adventure line.
All right, I've got a solution. This time,
The
to make sure
Stanley
we don't get
Parable
lost,
Adventure
I've employed
Line.
the help of the Stanley Parable Adventure Line.
He read that the
Just
exact
follow
same
the
way.
line. How simple is that?
Okay. Follow the line. The line knows... What? Wait. Ooh, you're playing solitaire. I'm telling the boss. I learned how to play chess at my office job.
You see, the line knows where the story is. It's over in this direction. Onward, Stanley, to destiny.
To
Here's a
destiny.
thought. Wouldn't wherever we end up be our destination, even if there's no story there? Or to put it another way, is the story of no destination still a story? Simply by the act of moving forward, are we implying a journey such that a destination is inevitably conjured into being via the very manifestation of the nature of life itself? Whoa, 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 whoa. Hang on. That got a bit weird back there. Well, I'd like to apologize. Not sure where I was going with all that. You know what? I think what we need right now is a bit of music to lighten the mood.
Yeah. As long as it's not copywritten. What was that?
Wait, cut the music. Go back and look at that fern.
Ooh.
Stanley, this fern will be very important later in the story.
Okay.
Make sure you study it closely and remember it carefully. You won't want to miss anything.
Okay, it's got some leaves. It's in a white... whatever that is. Planter?
Wait, what? We're back at the office? No. Line, you do know we're looking for the Stanley Parable, right? The story? Is any of this ringing a bell?
Hey!
Oh, no, not again. Line, how could you have done this to us? And after we trusted you, after everything we've been through, you... Oh, I can't
Line.
take this anymore. To hell with it. Restart.
But I was enjoying the music and the line. The line was my favorite. Best thing yet, except for that fern. That fern was nice. Okay, we're following the line.
You know what, Stanley? I say forget the adventure line. What's it ever done for us? We're intelligent people, right?
Yeah.
Why can't we make up our own story? Something exciting, daring, mysterious. Oh, this all sounds perfectly doable. Why don't we simply start wandering in, well, I don't know. How about this direction?
Okay. Guide me, narrator.
Now, yes, this is exciting. Just me and Stanley forging a new path, a new story. Well, it could be anything. What do you want our story to be? Go wild. Use your imagination. Whatever it might be, Stanley, I'm ready for it.
Okay. He was very unhappy that...
Oh, no, not you again. Stanley, I'd also like to veto the line from having any role in our awesome new story. No lines or monitor rooms. Just don't acknowledge it, and we should be fine.
Okay. I don't see any... What the... I don't see any lines around here. No lines.
Ah, a choice. We get to make a decision. From here, the story is in our control. How important we mustn't squander the opportunity.
Okay.
In fact, I believe I need a minute to think here. Just walk in circles for a minute. Okay, so I know that each door has to lead somewhere, which means that somewhere, the place where we're trying to go, there must be a reverse door that leads here.
I'm gonna
And
vomit.
that in turn means that our destination corresponds with the counter-inverted reverse door's origin. So starting from the right,
Is the
let's
circle getting
ask,
smaller?
will taking the right door lead us to where we're going? And since the answer is clearly yes, then by all accounts, the door on the right is the correct one. Another victory for logic. Come, Stanley, our destiny awaits.
Hang on, I gotta walk in a circle. You know what would be more exciting? If I walked the other direction.
Oh, hold up, what's this? The confusion ending.
First restart.
You're telling me
Second.
that's what this is? It's all one giant ending? And we're supposed to restart the game, what, eight times? That's really how all this goes? It's all determined?
The game restarts
So
on its
now,
own.
according to the schedule, I restart again. Then what? Am I just supposed to forget? Well, what if I don't want to forget? My mind goes blank
That's
simply
begun
because
to
it's written here on this thing, wall. Well, who consulted me?
Simply
Why don't I
black
get to
space.
decide? Why don't I get a say in all of this? Is it really? No, it can't be. I don't want it to be. I don't want the game to keep restarting. I don't want to forget what's going on. I don't want to be trapped like this. I won't restart the game. I won't do it. I won't do it. I won't do it. And the timer stopped? Does that mean, did we do it? Did we break the cycle?
Probably not.
The, whatever it is that made this schedule? How would we even know? Will someone come for us? Will something happen?
Nonsense, philosophy, and music?
Okay. I guess now we just wait. You know,
Find the line again.
I suppose in some way that this is a kind of story, wouldn't you agree? I'm not quite sure if we're in the destination or the journey, though they're always saying that life is about the journey and not the destination. So I hope that's where we are right now.
So this is nonsense,
We'll find out, won't
philosophy,
we?
and music?
Eventually. Well, in the meantime, if you...
What was that? There's so much random stuff happening. Is the adventure line going to be back? Because it said to find the line again. The line's gone.
I can't wait to tell this story to my co-workers, Stanley thought. How amusing they'll find it. Oh, won't we all just laugh and laugh at the time I thought everyone had gone missing.
He's changed the story again. So where would I find an adventure line? I'm not seeing anything. Game's lagging a little bit. There's the line. Okay.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
You know, I don't think I did. I think I went through this door.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
There's the line. I'm seeing the line a lot, but I'm not... What happened to the broom closet?
Standing now in this incredible room, Stanley for the first time understood true happiness. Then the feeling went away, and he felt sad again. Then it came back, and lingered for a minute or two. Now it's only half there. Just a kind of, tingle. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Okay.
And so he detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track.
That's the office.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
What is hot? Better safe than profits? Rule 1. I can't read what it is.
Oh no, no.
I feel so
not
safe
again.
in
I won't be
here.
part of this. I'm not going to encourage you. I'm not going to say anything at all. I'm just going to be patient and wait for you to finish whatever it is you enjoy doing so much in this room. Please take your time.
Okay. I feel so safe, so welcome in here, you know? Okay. Oh, you thought. A monkey wrench. Isn't that what they're called? Are they just called crescent wrench?
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Stanley walked downstairs into the ominous red light that says I should dial 914 immediately.
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss. Admitting he had left his post during work hours, he might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk?
Why did
All
I?
because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. All of my co-workers blinking mysteriously out of existence in a single moment for no reason at all. None of it made any logical sense.
You erased
And as
them.
Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down? Why did doors close automatically behind him wherever he went?
I'm in the
And
Matrix.
for that matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar. Were they simply repeating? No, Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange. This can't be real. And at last, he came to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue. He just hadn't found the words for it. I'm dreaming, he yelled. This is all a dream. Oh, what a relief Stanley felt to have finally found an answer, an explanation. His co-workers weren't actually gone. He wasn't going to lose his job. He wasn't crazy after all.
I don't
He
know.
thought to himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon. I'll have to go back to my boring real-life job pushing buttons. I may as well enjoy this while I'm still lucid. So, he imagined himself flying and began to gently float above the ground.
Wait, am I?
Then he imagined himself soaring through space on a magical starfield, and it too appeared. It was so much fun, and Stanley marveled that he had still not woken up. How was he remaining so lucid? And then perhaps the strangest question of them all entered Stanley's head. One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner. Why is there a voice in my head dictating everything that I'm doing and thinking?
It's
Now
called
the voice was
imposter
describing
syndrome?
itself being considered by Stanley, who found it particularly strange. I'm dreaming about a voice describing me, thinking about how it's describing my thoughts, he thought. And while he thought it all very odd and wondered if this voice spoke to all people in their dreams, the truth was that, of course, this was not a dream. How could it be? Was Stanley simply deceiving himself, believing that if he's asleep, he doesn't have to take responsibility for himself? Stanley is as awake right now as he's ever been in his life. Now, hearing the voice speak these
deep.
words was quite a shock to Stanley. After all, he knew for certain, beyond a doubt, that this was in fact a dream. Did the voice not see him float and make the magical stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all that? This voice was a part of himself too. Surely, if he could just... He would prove it. He would prove that he was in control, that this was a dream. So he closed his eyes gently, and he invited himself to wake up. He felt the cool weight of the blanket on his skin, the press of the mattress on his back, the fresh air of a world outside this one. Let me wake up, he thought to himself. I'm through with this dream. I wish it to be over. Let me go back to my job. Let me continue pushing the buttons. Please.
Oh, my
It's
camera's
all I
off.
want. I want my apartment and my wife and my job. All I want is my life exactly the way it's always been.
Didn't you say I have kids too?
My life is normal. I am normal. Everything will be fine. I am okay.
Nope, we're back here again.
Stanley began screaming. Please, someone, wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss. I have an office. I am real. Please, just someone tell me I am real. I must be real. I must be. Can anyone hear my voice? Who am I? Who am I? And everything went black.
I died again.
This is the story of a woman named Mariella.
What?
Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, gathered her belongings, and walked to her place of work.
I am dead.
But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. And although she would soon turn to go call for an ambulance, for just a few brief moments she considered the strange man. He was obviously crazy. This much she knew. Everyone knows what crazy people look like. And in that moment, she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am sane. I am in control of my mind. I know what is real and what isn't. It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel better. But then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for that day, the very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career, and by extension, the rest of her life. She had no time for this, so it was only a moment that she stood there, staring down at the body. And then she turned and ran.
So I've died 3 times. Explosion. Fell to my death from the cargo lift. I went crazy and died on the sidewalk. And now we're loading again. So probably going to be back in the office? Back in the office. It's all normal. This is perfectly normal.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Perhaps. I think I missed a memo.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Let it all ball up inside you. Take it out passive-aggressively on other coworkers. Resent coworkers for not supporting you more. Make sure your slide has a sick blue graphic in the header and throw some bevel on all the text. Everyone is unique. You most of all. Slides, charts and slides. I like. Rate at which charts on the same slide depict the same information. The rate of increase in graphs per slide. Please no more charts. I'm begging you. Stop. On your boss appreciation minute worksheet, circle the top 20 things you love most about your boss. Fill out in triplicate and return to your boss appreciation specialist. If you ever find yourself in conflict with another diligent employee like yourself, but more inclined toward conflict, unless you're the kind of person who initiates conflict, why did we hire you? Mitosis, clear skin, less air, comatose, talk radio. I didn't get to read all of the other one, so I'm waiting for it to go back around. I think it was the one right after this. It's so bright. It is so bright, damn. This will ensure a calm and productive work environment. Okay. This place is kind of weirding me out now. The broom closet! You took my broom closet away from me.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Because the boss knows that what the boss says goes. If the boss has suffered losses, then that's what the boss chose. What is happening? Shouldn't you close? Aren't you so... There we go. What's in this one? What is that? What does that say? Business strategy? Hitman 47. Very nice. Yeah, let's go up. Up or down, up or down, up or down. You know what? You know what this is a perfect time for? This is the time where we let the dice decide. So I'm going to fish out a D20 out of my beautiful Hex Tech dice bag for D&D. And we're just going to roll up or down. Let's say 10 and above we go up. Below 10 we go down. It is an 18. Up we go. Nope, that's the wrong toggle. There we go. Did it say Stanley? No, no, no. I meant to go up, I'm sorry. I think I broke the game. A layers of fear turn around. If I go, do I not actually go anywhere? Was this just a troll of the game? Like you'd stand in here for 2 hours and it would just keep playing music? Stand. Stanley. It is. You don't actually go anywhere. And nothing has changed. Can I go back? No. Is it still the same? Why do you open out? It is the same. I'm sneaking. I'm standing. I'm sneaking.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. What could it mean? Stanley wondered aloud to nobody. He began wildly tearing through papers on the boss's desk, pulling books off the shelf, looking behind paintings, desperate for clues to his situation. But his attention was caught by a keypad behind the boss's desk. What could its purpose be? In fact, This keypad guarded the terrible secret that lay buried below his feet. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this.
Yep, there's no way I could have known that. What is that? What are you? I'm busy tearing through books and paperwork on my boss's
Stanley
desk.
just sat around twiddling his thumbs. Trying to input anything on the device was useless, since he could never possibly know that the combination was 2845.
Man, this tricky combo. Sure wish I could find the code around here somewhere.
2845.
Do you hear something? Well, I guess this is it. This is my life now. Stuck in this.
But it turns out that the panel's emergency override kicked in, and the door just opened all by itself. And
Cool.
Stanley got the hell along with the story. Well, whoop-de-doo.
You know, I'm sensing some passive aggressiveness. Ooh, that noise is awful. Is there a secret? Oh, it's real dark. Wait, what happens if I stand over here? You know, I don't think I'm supposed to be back there. What if we go up? It forces us to go down. Loading. Jesus.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
You said the door that says escape?
Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley would meet his violent death.
Never mind. Nope. I've committed to this path.
The door behind him was not shut. Stanley still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track.
Just a random pole?
At this point, Stanley was making a conscious, concerted effort to walk forward and willingly confront his death.
Let's do it. Ooh, it's very red. Hey, it matches my room. Oh, but there wasn't a splat this time. No splat equals safety. A missed call. Hey, I didn't die.
As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley was inched closer and closer to his demise,
I'm gonna
he reflected
die.
that his life had been of no consequence whatsoever. Stanley can't see the bigger picture. He doesn't know the real story, trapped forever in his narrow vision of what this world is. Perhaps his death was of no great loss, like plucking the eyeballs from a blind man. And so he resigned and willingly accepted this violent end to his brief and shallow life. Farewell, Stanley.
Squish me. Squish me. Hello?
"Farewell, Stanley," cried the narrator, as Stanley was led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws.
Who are you?
In a single visceral instant, Stanley was obliterated as the machine crushed every bone in his body, killing him instantly.
The Stanley Parable.
And yet it would be just a few minutes before Stanley would restart the game, back in his office, as alive as ever. What exactly did the narrator think he was going to accomplish?
Is there anything else around here? It's very dark.
When every path you can walk has been created for you long in advance, death becomes meaningless, making life the same. Do you see now? Do you see that Stanley was already dead from the moment he hit start?
My computer! An office layout? Beginning of the game, the path from Stanley's office to the two doors was the first part of the game that was built. Sections have been added and altered throughout development, though the core layout remains almost identical to the first iteration. Yeah, we go down this hall. Reaches two doors. The two doors. The set of two doors was the first concrete piece of the Stanley Parable's design. Once this room was created, the rest of the game emerged as an extension of it, an exploration of the contradiction this room posed. Whew. Filing cabinets. Can I turn you back on? No. I remember that one. My desk? It's not my desk. The office. Can't click the door. There's those buttons. A selection of sounds used throughout the game when buttons are pressed. Each sound is a mix of a keyboard stroke and a synthesized tone. I don't like that one. I like this one. It sounds almost like a... I bet someone could make a song out of these buttons. The Stanley Parable remix. Kevin Brighting as the narrator. But which way should I go now? I mean, there's windows. Boss's office. Scenes from the development of the boss's office. The lounge. Underground. An early version of the underground portion of the game.
Stanley walked over the bridge.
Narration outtakes. Stanley jumped into a river. Kevin Brighting, the voice of the
Then he
narrator.
pushed the number 4. Stanley pushed the number 6. Stanley pushed the orange lever.
Okay, I'm gonna go back and push the number 4. You wait right there. I'll be right back. Nothing. Okay. No, I didn't want to go that way. Freedom ending. This was the very first incarnation of the freedom ending in the game's alpha. What is that? Countdown desk. Ah, man. Monitor room elevator. Which way now? Let's go this way. Zending? This screen depicts an early version of the ending known as the Zending, which was eventually cut and merged with another part of the game. Zending model. Originally part of the Zending, the player would pull a lever and the narrator would describe the color they pulled. And I can't pull any of them. Escape menu? What is that for? The timer would give you 15 seconds to pick up the phone. Not picking up the phone would lead to a different ending. Cargo lift. I died. I died in the cargo lift. The office. There's a skeleton inside it. Intense passion of my soul. Am I Stanley? Are you spying on me? I don't. Why? How? These are the narrator's emails? How do you stay in shape? Sincerely, Michael the Rock Martin. My office? Also my office. Oh, there's differences. From left to right, the evolution of Stanley's office over time. The first was created November 2011, the second in March 2012, and the third in February of 2013. So they went with the 2013 one. Okay, it's like a desk or something back there, like casting a shadow. Warzone? Alien base? Looks kind of like the alien base in Subnautica. Maintenance room. So, what exactly am I supposed to do? She said Stanley has been dead since he started the game. That's the narrator's emails. This is the phone that counts down. Stanley's offices. I gotta sneeze. Stanley Parable. So that's where I need to go.
Oh, look at these two. How they wish to destroy one another. How they wish to control one another. How they both wish to be free.
Whatever you say, lady.
Can you see? Can you see how much they need one another? No.
I can't say anything.
Perhaps not. Sometimes these things cannot be seen.
They must be felt.
But listen to me. You can still save these two. You can stop the program before they both fail. Turn off your Xbox. There's no other way to beat this game. As long as you move forward, you'll be walking someone else's path. Stop now and it'll be your only true choice. Whatever you do, choose it. Don't let time choose for you. Don't let...
I got squished. Would I have gotten a different ending if I restarted? Or would I had to have done everything all over again, not vegan. Vegans. And here we are once again.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Perhaps. And that computer's still off again, even though... New content?
Oh, new content? What does that mean, new content?
I thought we were going to that door. Am I just gonna get smushed again?
Hello, and thank you for playing The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe. As you may know, The Stanley Parable was a video game released in 2013 on home computers. After receiving critical and commercial success, it was expanded upon in 2022 with The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, a reimagining of the game for consoles and home computers.
Wow.
The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe features exciting new content that broadens and expands the world of the Stanley Parable, delighting audiences the world over. Please, step inside and see what thrilling new adventures await in The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe.
Oh, well, this sounds delightful. I'm very excited to see the thrilling new Ultra Deluxe content.
Is this just turning into FNAF? Wait, can I go back? Oh, so I can go back to the lift, but it's not taking me anywhere different.
Okay, so far it's an elevator. Nothing special yet, but I'm sure it's just the beginning of a mesmerizing adventure.
Give me the music. I want my elevator music.
Is it broken? What's going on here? Should we be moving somewhere or... Oh, there we go. All right, finally, at long last, it's on to the new content. I've never been more ready. Let's do it.
I'm ready.
I have to say, initial impressions of Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, mostly tedious. It's as if
Quite
okay.
lackluster.
Let's see the content. Give me the content, Stanley.
Speaking of that, I bought some luster dust.
All right.
The jumping
All
circle.
right, let's see. It's the jump circle.
You know what? I'm going to save some jumps. Oh, I can't jump unless it's in the jumping circle. That makes me sad.
Is that it? Surely that's not all the new content. There has to be something else, right? Goodness. Another elevator. Stanley, I have to say, initial impressions of this game are not positive. It's just elevators and jumping. Is this what passes for exciting new content? If this is new content, then I could just read you the whole dictionary. There's 20 hours of new content right there. Hell, I could count to 30 trillion. You could put that on the box. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, now with over 1,000 hours of new content. And oh, wait. There's more. Very good. Yes. I knew there had to be something else. Let's see it. I'm ready for whatever it is.
Me too. Thank you.
That's it?
Like the new
Oh, you've
content.
got to be kidding me. You see, Stanley? This is what happens when greedy video game developers with no respect for their fan base rush a cheap expansion to market for no reason other than to make an easy dollar. And don't get me started on the level of craftsmanship that's gone into it. In fact, I'm looking right now at the game's achievements, and it's hard to believe one of them actually says,
Every
"Test
DLC
achievement,
ever."
please ignore." What quality assurance department signed off on this? I'm infuriated and I'm offended, and I intend to find these people on Twitter and hold them personally accountable.
On Twitter.
It's my fault, Stanley. I built up too much anticipation around the new content, I'm afraid.
Too much
It could
hype.
never have lived up to such expectations. If you're still with me, why don't we just reset the game and we'll try to get back to what the Stanley Parable is really about. No frills, no gimmicks. Just you and me having a great time together like always. What do you say, friend?
Oh, I thought it was going to make me restart the game. Okay. Listen, this is your story. Kevin Brighting. I already don't remember the name. He said to be on the lookout for a fern, too. The fern would be super important. Whichever iteration we find the fern again. Okay. I still hate Mondays, yeah? So, where are we now?
Psst. Stanley!
What is it?
Come over here. In the vent. I want to show you something.
It's really weird. Alien isolation dictates I shouldn't go in the vent. But here's the story. This is what we were this is someone's smoking corner. All those wasted cigarettes. 561. Yeah, let's just go in the vent. See what you got for me. Coffee nut. See, I've played a lot of dark picture anthology games and interactive story games where you don't want to miss out on anything ever that they give to you in the story. So being forced to make these random turns and miss out on whatever else is happening.
Okay, you remember how cheap and unsatisfying the new Ultra Deluxe content turned out to be? Well, it got me thinking about
it
the
wasn't
past
bad.
and how much better the Stanley Parable used to be. So I made something special and tucked it away here where the game's developers won't find it. Just our little secret. Take a look. I call it the Memory Zone. It's where I've been storing all my favorite memories so I can relive the peak experiences of my life whenever I want. Experiences like the launch of the Stanley Parable on PC.
Hang on, I want the picnic basket, man.
You see, Stanley, doesn't the Memory Zone remind you of how wonderful Stanley Parable was before it was sullied with a cheap Xbox port? Remember back in October of 2013, when the game originally launched? Back then, video games had integrity. Back then, it all meant something. Oh, the waste.
The Stanley Parable. Independent Games Festival Award. That's weird. What does that say? Stanley Parable. It's just taped on there. Postcards. 2013. My first car. The release of Stanley Parable in 2013. The original Stanley Parable. Oh. Memory Lane. Smile because it happened. Unachievable. It is impossible to get this achievement. Go outside. Don't play for 5 years. You actually have to wait 5 years? Nominee, nominee, nominee. This is my resting corner. Wait, is that another? Another camera cable? What does that say? Beta work in process. Oh, it's the ending where I went crazy and died on the sidewalk. Who are you? Little Stanley. What is that? It's a hamster. I like hamsters. It's very nice.
And over here is where I keep reviews of the Stanley Parable. Like this stunning triumph of games journalism, 10 out of 10 from Destructoid.com. James Stephanie Sterling writes, and I quote, "Where so many games that aspire to be more than games end up less than any form of art,
He's an
Stanley
Australian.
Parable strives and then succeeds to be every game ever created." Did you hear that, Stanley? Every game ever created. That's how grand and all-encompassing the original Stanley Parable was. It was literally every game ever created. It was Skyrim. It was Persona 3. It was all of them. And now, it's nothing. It's no games at all. It isn't even the Stanley Parable anymore. It's just a husk now. A lifeless husk with an hour of new elevator content.
You were supposed to stand in that elevator in the boss's office for an hour. Can I go back outside? I was kind of enjoying that. Of course not. Big Sushi. Design Museum. IGF. Let's begin again. Nostalgic. It was good. I don't know. I never played the original. This is the first time playing this one. I just want to click on everything. Person of the year. Oh, and that's the lady that saw us dead. Gotcha. Start with an M. Remember? The greatest wealth is memory. Oh, there's buttons. Let me push the button. Give me the buttons to push.
Here's another moving passage, this time from GameSpot.com. The Stanley Parable is both a richly stimulating commentary on the nature of choice in games and one that offers some of the most enjoyable, surprising, and rewarding choices I've ever been confronted with in a game. 9 out of 10. Don't you get it, Stanley? The game was perfect. It didn't need anything else. It didn't need new content. All they had to do was transport it in pristine condition along to the Xbox. Boom, done. And they couldn't even do that. Couldn't resist the urge to go meddling with a beloved franchise.
I like this building. You know, I like a good A-frame. Whether it's a cabin or a house or storage, I guess this place would be. I guess the main complaint with an A-frame is these kind of areas where there's not a lot of stuff you could put here because then your head's just touching the wall. Am I supposed to be going through... This wasn't open before. The Serious Room, 2013. Can I go out here?
These were simpler times, Stanley. But I wouldn't give to go back to have it all over again.
Fire? Am I supposed to start a fire? A fire in the memory zone.
Hang on. I don't recall this part of the memory zone before. What's this? What's down here?
Ooh, cold drinks. This place is a dump.
Oh no, oh God, no, Stanley. It's a collection of reviews from Pressurized Gas, the extremely popular online storefront for computer games. I haven't looked at these in years. I can't even imagine what's been collecting down here. Surely these reviews were glowing as well, weren't they?
Ooh. Methinks not.
Honestly, I could not be bothered to play this game to full completion. The narrator is obnoxious and unfunny, with his humor and dialogue proving to be more irritating than entertaining. Unfunny! I'm not trying to be funny. I'm trying to make a serious work of art. I suppose I could write up a handful of gags to insert into the Stanley Parable, but the game is already such a densely layered web of profound philosophical insights that I can't even imagine where I'd have the room to stick them.
It's over here. I like the squish. It's very squishy. What is fragile? Can I push the lever? That will be a negative. Is that music coming from the van? Dude, you need to take better care of this place.
Okay, let's see what this one says. While the idea for the game is good, for someone who prefers non-linear games, this preachiness gets annoying fast. Preachy? Stanley? I'm not preachy, am I?
Preachy?
You can tell me if I'm preachy. Honestly, you can. Oh, goodness. This is actually quite shocking for me. Well, to be honest, I had always thought of the game's dialogue
Noodles,
as being rather
chaff.
terse to begin with. You can't know how much fluff I cut from the game to get it to feel as light and airy as it... Well, I always thought it did. But maybe it wasn't. Oh dear. What an awful memory to have to hold on to. These black marks on my otherwise unimpeachable track record. I feel like a failure. Like I let these people down.
It's only 2 people.
Perhaps the Stanley Parable isn't quite as sterling as I always remembered.
It's pretty lifeless and dead here. Very different from the other memory zone. What is this? Can I go back up? I'm trapped.
What's this one got to say? You constantly have to stop doing anything so the narrator can catch up with his long-winded explanations of what's happening. I wish there was a skip button.
A skip button?
A skip button.
That's what I said.
Well, yes. Yes, I think we can do that. If I'm truly too preachy, then maybe letting you skip ahead for just a moment, surely it couldn't hurt. Not if it means we can strike these negative reviews from the record. Only positive reviews of the Stanley Parable. That's my motto today, and it's always been my motto.
It kind of
I'd
has
do
a skip
anything
button,
for
though.
the customer, Stanley.
You
Yes,
just walk into a
skip
new
button
room and
we
he
shall have.
skips to the room you're in. Can I make this gap? I can? Well, shoot dang, Sterling. Stanley can walk on water. What is this? I found the chair. The chair of silence. Existence is behind you now, Kevin. Enjoy the silence. What is... Just a bucket? A random run-of-the-mill bucket?
And here it is. Go ahead and give it a shot. I'll pop you forward in time so that the second my incessant droning starts to bore you, with just the push of a button, you'll have zipped right past it. It's what the players have been asking for, and I'm very proud to have delivered. No more listening to me rambling on and on and on. No, 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 no. The Stanley Parable is a game for the people. And if the people want silence, then by goodness, that's what they're going to get.
You think
Well,
that
don't
there's
sit
an
around waiting
achievement
for me to shut up.
for
Go ahead
sitting
and
here
make
and
me shut
listening
up.
to him
Here,
ramble?
we'll pretend that I've just begun an interminable monologue, and it goes something like this. The story, and the choices, or what have you, and therefore, by becoming it is, so on and so forth, until inevitably, we all until the end of time, at which time everything all at once, so, now you see, blah, 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 blah. We've eaten too much and it can't be just yet, no, until 245. That the logic of elimination working backwards, the deduction therefore becomes impossible to manufacture. It went on for nearly 10,000 years, until just yesterday. Here
Just
and there,
yesterday?
forward and back, and never a moment before lunchtime. It can't be. It's the only thing there is. How many billions left until so much more? Oh, you're back, you see. You were only frozen in time for a few minutes, but it was plenty of time for me to deliver a long, rambling monologue full of unnecessary verbal flourishes and lengthy ruminations on the nature of choice in video games.
What was that sound?
Of course, I happen to believe it was perhaps one of my more profound such ruminations. Not that, of course, you need a description of it, but if I had to describe it, I'd say it was
Skip.
perhaps less... Well there, sport. You really did catch me rambling on a bit, didn't you? But that's the power of the button. The minute I start to go off on a thoughtless display of self-absorption, it's right at your
There's that
fingertips
sound
to go
again.
poof, and
like
it's all
a-
over.
It's like a chair dragging.
I can't wait to see what Cookie 9 will say. Okay, welcome back, Stanley. Now, I should say that the amount of time the button has been skipping through is becoming longer and longer. That last one was, well, I want to say maybe 30, 45 minutes?
Damn.
It's not unendurable by any means, but it's, well, there's really only so much I can ramble on to myself about. I know, it's shocking, isn't it? But at any rate,
very
I
shocking.
do suggest that we not press the button again.
Oh,
I
I'm
think
gonna
the
press
skip
the button again.
has been aptly demonstrated, and we can say goodbye to it and just...
There's
how do we get out of
no
here?
door.
Where did the door go? Wasn't there a door that led into this room? I do feel quite certain that there was one here before. How else would we have gotten into the room in the first place? I don't think one can enter a room without
Can I
a
clip
door of
through?
some sort, or a window or something like that. Do you see a window anywhere? A porthole? A sufficiently large crack in the wall? I'll take any of these. All I want is for us to move on and to... Stanley! Stanley, please don't push the button again. It's been 12 hours. You've just been frozen there. I don't know why the skips are getting longer, but they're really, truly getting longer, and my God, there's no way out of the room. Stanley,
So
the door
time
is gone.
increases
it's
by
completely
24 times?
Gone. I've looked at it from every angle. I've checked every one of those walls 1,000 times, and there's no door, Stanley. There's no door. There's just you and the button, and if you keep pressing it, I have no idea what will happen.
I wanna find out what
have no
happens.
idea. Oh, Stanley, you're back.
Damn.
Back. Oh, my goodness. I have someone to talk to again.
Ooh.
Stanley, I think it's been a week. Or 2 weeks.
There's that sound.
I've been sitting here all that time. Just sitting here. Not a single person to speak with. And you'd think that that's just how it's always been, right? Me talking and you saying nothing. Would you think that it's exactly the same as always? Doesn't that feel like what we've already been doing? Me just talking? But it isn't, Stanley. It isn't the same at all.
It isn't
even
at all.
close. Because I know you can't hear me once you push that button. That's what I'm realizing now, Stanley. I'm realizing that I needed to know that someone was listening. I needed there to be a vessel through which my words were moving. It was the vessel I needed, Stanley. Not the outcomes, not the story. None of that matters anymore. I'll give it all up.
So,
I'll give up
I
every
am your
branching
vessel.
path. I'll burn my story to the ground. One single thing I need, and God, I can see now that I need it more than anything, is to know that someone else is taking it in. These words that I'm saying, I need to know you can hear me. Because maybe,
I can hear you,
Stanley,
man.
Maybe, if you can hear me, then maybe it means I'm real.
Ooh.
Maybe I'm not just a fiction. Was I scared of that all along?
I guess it sounds like you
Yes.
were.
Perhaps I've been scared this whole time, that if I stop speaking, I'll slip backwards into the silence and be consumed by it. I can't be taken by it, Stanley. I can't lose myself in the stretch of emptiness between you and me. When you press that button, you're still right there, but I know you're so tremendously far away. And in those moments, the emptiness folds itself outward in between the two of us, and I am suspended in its unyielding quietness. I can feel the edges of my reality curdling inward and decaying.
So if I press the button
I
again,
can
if time
tell
accelerates
that I am becoming
24
less and
times and
less
it's been
real.
2 weeks,
Yet to speak to you now,
so it'll be 48 weeks,
I am
it'll be
alive.
almost a year?
I am truly and completely here. I am a being. I am someone. I am something. I am being listened to. I am being recognized. The emptiness between us has
Positive
collapsed, and I feel
affirmation.
right now like I am not a work of fiction. I feel as though I occupy space in this world again, and I have cast a shadow onto the wall. You see what I'm saying, don't you?
I
You
do.
can see what this means to me. I'm so clear about it
I can
now,
hear what it
Stanley.
means to you. I
feel as
can't really
certain about
see
this
what it
as
means
I've
to you,
ever
you know?
felt about anything at all. I feel renewed. I feel restored, and already I can sense the looming silence as you will press the button for the next time. What a terrible dread it strokes in my heart to think of it, to think of returning to such coldness. Come, let us sit in silence together here for just a moment. Let us anticipate it. Let us welcome it. Let us not run from it.
Okay. He didn't want silence, but now he wants... Oh, he wants the silence now that he knows I am listening. It's, pretty dark in here. Your light bulbs only last 2 weeks? It's a little troubling. So did he mean exactly 1 minute? Let's see. Minion 777's live. Ensign's live. Sky T on YouTube. Yep, pushing the button.
Oh, hello, it's you. You're here again. Welcome. I have had time to think about you and about us and about everything we've been through. I've had so much time. I stopped keeping track after a year. Have you ever sat down in one place and not moved for one entire year? Let me describe it for you. To begin with, there is only regret. There is only the turning wheel of missed opportunities. I felt nothing at all but regret for the longest time, Stanley. Days, months. I lost it all in a blur of the deepest longing to undo the past. And when that feeling had begun to subside, what took its place is what I can only describe as the collapse of every moment I have ever experienced my entire life. All of them collapsed down into a single instant. In that instant, I could see myself clearly, calmly, with a collected heart. It was an impossibly rich wellspring of both delight and disgust simultaneously.
Ah, the
I was
duality.
consumed by it. I could do nothing but wallow in it for what felt like an eternity, for what I now know was far less. You see, it was a revelation for me. It was unlike anything I had ever known.
Truly
it was a space
riveting.
without consequence, without action or outcome. It was divorced entirely from the question of free will that you and I have squabbled over for so long. There could be no one ending, no singular outcome of events, not if all events existed in the same moment. And I felt freed. I felt unburdened
for
by
you.
the need to manifest a particular outcome into being. I saw that I could allow myself to exist along all timelines, and that each of them was simply a strand in the web of my being. It was incredible. The spaciousness, the equanimity of the moment, both singular and infinite. For the longest time, this was my experience. And then this moment passed, and the most unyielding fear I have ever known crept into my mind. And it is this sensation that I have been experiencing now for longer than I could have ever expected was possible. I have been waiting for you. Not that you might save me or do something to fix it, but merely to state for you the plain fact of this manner of existence. I wish you to feel afraid as I do, that perhaps one day this state of mind will consume you as well. Perhaps you will somehow, in some way, have to live as I do now, and I wish for you to know how excruciating it is, and for you to be in true terror of its eventual arrival.
I'm glad I
if
waited.
I can only do this, only this one thing, perhaps it will bring me the smallest moment of peace in the darkness.
The darkness. Yeah, I'm glad I waited for him to finish out that monologue. You even imagine sitting in a dark room with nothing going on, just the clanking of a breaking AC unit, the ticking of a... Well, I guess the battery's dead. Just a ticking of a clock for an entire year. Let's go. Stanley, it's one of your coworkers. Oh, the chair dragging noise was the skip button. Turning back on this entire... I'm an idiot. Narrator. Wherefore art thou? Oh, is this him giving me the silent treatment now? Let's turn that off. No more beeping, please.
But they didn't understand the game was
Just
never
have your
meant to be
coworker.
funny. It was meant to have a point. It was meant to speak to
Hey,
the human condition.
he's
But where are
back.
the jokes? Where are the jokes? They bemoaned, they screamed, they gnashed their teeth and said, entertain us. It wasn't enough. They had to leave a pathetic little thumbs down review and make all of their pitiful demands. But then, he's talking too much, they said. First, he didn't entertain us, now he won't shut up. It's the inconsistency, it's the lack of accountability, it's the unwillingness to examine with an uncompromising heart the words that they are speaking into the world. As though there were no consequences for a lack of cohesion in one's assessment of others. But of course, absolutely anyone can leave a review. So here's what we get. We get these demands that seek everything and are accountable to nothing. We get a world where someone will say, oh, there should be a skip button. You should be able to freeze Stanley in place while the narrator sits there forever and ever. We want all of this in the new Stanley Parable. We demand it. And then, because it was said, because it was spoken, now it simply has to happen. The most
They
immediate
manifested it.
desires. Every single thing demanded by every person at every moment in time. If someone wants it, then it's a crime not to bring it into being. Have we been given
Mr.
to
Narrator.
indulging every fleeting whim for no reason other than to do so?
It's
Yes!
time to go back to the
Yes!
silence.
It seems that this is not...
Time to go back to the darkness. Oh, shoot dang, I done killed him again. Yeah, this whole time I thought that the button, like depressing itself, was just a chair dragging in the distance somewhere. Oh. It's real drippy. But where is the drip? I was gonna say my bucket's gone. Oh. Yeah, the plant's been dead for a while. So, the second skip was 30 minutes. The third was 12 hours. The next one was 2 weeks, and then a year. I've already pressed it twice since then. And if it's times 24 each time, he's probably dead.
The end is never the end, 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 is never the end.
I think we broke him.
End is never the end, is never the end, is never the end, is never the end, is never the end.
He's just been sitting here in silence for like 20 years.
Never the end is never.
Oh, it's really coming down. Oh, it's the pipe leaking. I thought it was just the ceiling. I mean, that's pretty good pipe work. I've never said that. If it doesn't leak for like 40 years. So it's been 100 years? Oh, and I can't jump. You squished my plant! So what, this is another 400 years or some shit? It is nice getting some natural light in here, though. It really opens up the room. Yeah, how is Stanley alive? You have a good one. Ooh. Very lush. Is this the fern he was talking about? He said it'd be very important. Oh, what happened to my plants? We got dinosaurs now? I do like me some dinosaurs. You know what? Let's just push the button again. What? Ah, and the button's broken now. I got stuck. Just the difference. We were in a construction site. This rose out of the water. Oh, I can't walk on this? Really? Going from the dark room to this area kind of hurts my eyes. I feel blinded. Don't tell me we're going to end up back in the office. It's never the end. We are back at the office. 427.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
Are you alive again? Do you remember anything that just happened? It's the purple one. What happens if I fill up the bar? I get the super secret ending. The unachievable ending. New content. Should I go for the new content? But why go to the new content when there's the beautiful original content that the narrator loves so much over there? Yeah, let's do it.
Oh, good. You noticed my sign. Yes, I have something very exciting to show you.
Wait, didn't we go here last time? Wasn't it a press that kills me? If this is about the skip button, narrator, I'm sorry. You made the skip button and intended for me to push it. Back to the elevator? New content. I mean, all right.
You see, Stanley, I've been reflecting on the Stanley Parable and about how roundly
had a lot of time to
disappointing
reflect.
this ultra deluxe version has turned out to be. The original Stanley Parable was a landmark, and any new content for it should live up to that legacy. So forget this ultra deluxe nonsense. I say we take it one step even further. Which is why I'm very proud to announce for the first time ever, the Stanley Parable 2.
Ooh. A new room?
Yes, you see, isn't this far superior to a measly port with a few minor additions? Think of all the new territory we'll cover with a fully fledged sequel. An entirely new experience, built from the ground up. Why, there are so many possibilities. It could go in so many different directions. This is what fans have truly been asking for.
427. Oh, the adventure line. Gotcha. That hurts my brain. To do Zoe dos. Okay.
Calling it the Stanley Parable 2 is just so much catchier than Ultra Deluxe, don't you think? Ultra Deluxe? What does it even mean? But the Stanley Parable 2, now that's an artistic statement right there. It's future-oriented. It screams progress and innovation and long-term franchising potential.
A boatload of DLCs. At least 6. Unless it's EA games, and then it's like 20. What is this? Who are you? Just the two of us, so we can make it if we try. Just the two of us. Just the two of us. Just the two of us. You and I. It reminds me of Austin Powers every time I hear that song. I hear a door open. A new mug. Time to wake up. Never coffee and joy. I can't read the red lettering. The Bird brand laptop. My favorite. This too is crooked. I need it fixed immediately. New content is out. New content part 2 is in. Cool red section of the chart. New hotness. Old plus busted. 2 doors. What do these say? New mug. The color red. I do like this. Very much, very nice. There's the fern. I don't like it when the door opens like that. There's 2 of us. 2 Stanleys, 2 narrators.
Now, to be clear, I haven't quite nailed down what exactly the Stanley Parable 2 is going to be, but let's take a look at some of the features I've been developing for it. I figure that if I can loosely organize a handful of interesting concepts, that surely the game will sort of naturally spring up around them. It'll all work itself out. Game development is much more of a fuzzy magic than anything scientific or logical, really.
Who took the red marker? Me. What is this? The investor showcase. What was that? It's real dark over there. New features. New content. Ooh.
Here we are. Go on, try out some of the new features.
The reassurance bucket. Ooh, are these the ferns? Office decorations. Reassurance bucket. The button that says the name of the player that is playing the game. So what's my Xbox name? Is it Hidden Tater? Will it say Hidden Taters? Hear yours today. Hear your name in the game. But what is this? You know what? Button first, then dark staircase later.
For the Stanley Parable 2, I asked myself, what do players really want? And of course, the first and most obvious answer is that they want to be individually recognized and validated as people. So with that in mind, my first addition to the game is this button which speaks the name of the person playing the game. Isn't that wonderful?
It is. I don't know how you would do that, but too small. You know, I like the small button. It has to be a small button, but make crazy big noise. What is that? I wish there was like a zoom or something. You know what the Stanley Parable 2 means? Needs more doors you can open. Try it here. After I touch the store. There we go. Now I feel accomplished.
Jim.
Sorry, I should have clarified. Right now, the button
God.
only says the name Jim. But of course, in the final game, this button will say your name, whatever name that is. Here, let's have you role-play as Jim to really simulate the full experience of this feature.
Okay.
Just play along. I promise you'll love it. Okay, here we go. Let's take a deep breath, clear your mind, forget whoever you are, and simply become a person named Jim. I want you to imagine yourself living as Jim. Sleeping and waking as Jim. Falling in love and being heartbroken as Jim. Seizing all of the world's possibilities as Jim. And as Jim, watching your dreams crumble into dust. Do you feel it deeply?
I feel...
Are you really, truly Jim right now?
I feel the Jim.
If so, then please step forward and press the button.
Jim.
Ooh. That felt good.
Yes! You see? What a thrill! What a rush! That was you! The button described you. Do it again. Do it again.
Jim.
Ooh. It hits even harder the second time. If this were the only new feature in the Stanley Parable 2, it would still be worth the money. Let's take a break from the gym button.
I don't
I'm
know.
too emotionally drained from all of this personal validation.
Jim.
Whoa there, cowboy.
Jim.
Sometimes a
Jim.
person can be
Jim.
too much,
Jim.
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 I'm
Jim.
putting the gym button
Jim.
away.
Jim.
Otherwise,
I am
soon
Jim.
you'll start to lose all
Jim.
sense of who
Jim.
you actually
I am
are.
Jim.
Jim.
Who am I? I am Jim. Give me back the gym. I'm lost without my gym. I don't even care about the rest. Just give me back Jim.
I suppose I could allow only people named Jim to play the Stanley Parable too. That would actually save me the work of finishing this feature.
I am Jim. I'm gonna check out that. What? What's with this? A little animated too. A Rorschach test mug. Love it. A whole new the cell phone interference noise. Please no screenshots. Taking one right now. Thank you very much. Can I push this button? New ideas. Jump circle. I gotta check out what's in this room first, though. New content. New ferns. From right here, that just looks like a painting of a staircase. 344. No screenshots. Office decorations. Infinite hole. Merch. He's not going to say anything about the merch? I saw the new content. I wonder what happens if you scan that. I'm not going to. You didn't like the old Stanley Parable QR code virus? Try the Stanley Parable 2 QR code virus. What is that? Reassurance bucket? I'll get to that later. I'm not in immediate need.
Okay, I'll be honest, I
Reassurance.
haven't yet decided on this one. I think that in the new version, the office could use a bit of decoration, like balloons. But I'm undecided on Get Well Someday and Happy 12th Birthday. Which would you go with?
Stepniece? That reminds me of the guy from, oh, what is it, Dimension 20? Brennan? He's like, my spaghetti. My spaghetti fell on my nephew and niece.
You know, sometimes when you solicit another person's opinion, it makes you realize that you knew which one you actually really wanted all along. Get Well Someday it is.
Can I pop it? Balloon. I like it.
Or actually, maybe I should have gone with... No. No, I've made my decision. We're moving on.
There's just so much to look at. I don't want to miss things. Where am I? I need to... No. No jump circle yet. Exit. Ooh, a hospital map. Settings World Champion? There's a lot. There's a lot in here. Collectibles. Infinite hole. Button that says gym. Okay, I'm gonna go up the creepy staircase.
An epilogue would be fun, wouldn't it, Stanley? Yes, yes, it will go at the end of the, well, we'll figure that out later.
That's new. Something happen if I go back down? Nope. So what else is over here? Reassurance bucket. I want to check out everything in the main area and then kind of branch off. And this you can't open. So is that the way to the... Probably the infinite hole. So let's check out the collectibles. You can find them, you can find them. Collect them all.
Ah, collectibles. Now it's a real video game. In the Stanley Parable 2, you'll run around gathering up these miniature Stanley figurines. And what's truly innovative is that there will be no reward for collecting all of them. I don't want to stifle the intrinsic joy of watching a number go up. You simply collect all of them, and then you move the hell on with your unremarkable life.
What is this? This is cursed. I love it. Wait, I can't go back into the void?
God, it really is the worst when you collect everything in a video game and then they give you a big fancy reward for it. Absolutely tragic.
Just tragic. Jump circle? Jump circle it is. And then we go to the free new plus easy achievement. I do like achievements.
You know what, Stanley? I actually think the jump circle was a pretty good idea. I'd like to hang on to that for the sequel.
Okay. That was fun. What's this say? No jumps remaining, player team. I got one left. Let's go get this achievement. Pull the lever, receive your new achievement. No more steps, it just works. Get yours right now.
Now, here's something special. You remember that broken test achievement that got left in the game on accident? Well, I'm developing a technology to simply give you the achievement. Yes. You see, you'll come to this lever, and when you pull it, the achievement will be given to you. It's as simple as that.
It's as simple as that.
Okay, perhaps I should have clarified. This is technology that will exist. Right now, the achievement is still fully broken. I'm not a wizard, Stanley, but I guarantee it will be fixed in the sequel to at last satisfy the hordes of ravenous fans all over the world who have been uproariously demanding this feature. Gamers, we hear you, and I promise it will happen.
I feel cheated. Very sad. Can I fix it? Guess not. Oh, wait. Sometimes the reticle appears and it kind of throws me for a loop. So I'll get
What else?
an achievement
what other
one day.
exhibits haven't we seen yet?
The infinite hole? The infinite hole. Oh, I came out of there earlier. That was the balloon one over there. Distant space-time, distant future, distant space-time, distant past. Space-like infinity, hole-like infinity, timeline infinity. So we're gonna fall in this hole forever? Surrounding area. Do I get to jump into the hole? Entrance infinity. More hole. Falling more. Let's do it.
Stanley, here's an idea that I'm truly fond of. It's never been done before in a video game. This is, in fact, a hole that you can fall down forever. That's right. Infinite falling. You can fall until the end of time, if you like. A stunning
Take
leap forward
infinite
for
fall
video
damage?
games as a medium.
What is down there? Yeah, but there's bad noises coming from down there.
You see, isn't it wonderful? One of my more ingenious concoctions, if I do say so.
If I do
Now
say
then,
so
since you've
myself.
gotten to see the infinite hole, you can press the teleport button to pop back up to the top, and we can continue onward.
That kind of makes me think you don't want me to see what's down here, Mr. Narrator, sir.
Now, I don't mean to be a bummer, but I do recommend you use the teleport button to go back to the top. Maybe do it on the sooner rather than later spectrum of things.
I don't think so. What?
Okay, Stanley.
What
I
a
don't know
hole.
quite how to say this tactfully, but it's possible that I slightly exaggerated the infinite nature of the hole.
You lied to
Is
me?
it a very, very deep hole? To be certain it is. It's an extremely deep hole. I don't want anyone to say that it isn't an astonishingly deep hole. It is. Is it infinite? Well, that sort of depends on your definition of infinity.
Forever and
From
ever.
one perspective, the infinite is merely philosophical in nature. It's more of a... Okay, well, good for you.
What's
You
this one
found the
say?
bottom of the hole. You found
mug.
me out, Stanley. I'm a liar and a cheat, and you're so clever. Look, I
Damn.
think the issue here is just that you're unusually fascinated by falling. What normal person actually wants to fall infinitely? I figured the hole was as deep as anyone would actually need. Don't you put this on me. Maybe you're the problem. Look, things got a little
I just
heated
tried
there.
the
I think we
hole,
both
man.
said some things we didn't mean. Why don't we just put all this behind us and agree to just call the hole mostly infinite? If that works for you, then go ahead and press the teleport button to warp up to the top of the hole and we can move on. I'll just be up here when you're ready.
Is this like the broom closet? If you sit down here long enough, he'll do something? Meeting at 2. Oh. Another meeting at 2. Every pause button is Roman numeral 2. Just the two of us again. Okay, we'll go back to the top.
Great. Now, I'm very excited to... Oh, for heaven... You see? I was right. The problem is you. The problem is that you like holes too much. Not normal. A normal person would have said, yep, that's an infinite hole right there, goes on forever till the end of time. Don't need to see it all, but not you. Oh, no, 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 no. You have a weird sort of... Oh. Did the hole seem even shorter to you this time? I couldn't help but feel like you spent a little less time in there than you did before. I mean, admittedly, I didn't make an infinite hole, but I didn't think it was that not infinite. Well, I suppose once again there's nothing to do here. If you decide you've had enough of the hole, hit the teleport button and come join me up above.
Why is it shrinking? That's still new mug. That's still meeting at 2. That's another meeting at 2. The pause and just the 2 of us.
Had enough? I'm positively thrilled. I really do have so much more to show you and to talk about. And I've had it, gosh, how could I have guessed? You're back in the hole.
I fell.
If this starts to become a thing where... Wow. Okay. Yes. I'm starting to become extremely certain that the hole is not only not infinite, but that it's growing steadily less and less infinite. I suspect that I'm starting to hit the point where it's no longer feasible to call the hole infinitely deep, even by the lax overall standards for accountability in marketing. What's going on here? Stanley, I have no explanation for the uncertain nature of the hole's length. Here, let's try something. Let's pop back up to the top, and we'll see if it gets any shorter. Well, there it is. The shame of my lie has come to haunt me. Not only is the hole... How is this still appealing to you? I know you're obsessed with holes, but at this depth, I just can't see this scratching the itch. Oh, who am I to judge? You just do whatever it is you're here to do and hit the teleport button when you're ready to move on.
It's like the red circle that he put on the floor earlier.
Is the, teleport button not working?
Yeah, it's not.
You sure?
Oh,
Well, I mean,
you're being
I
a
really don't
you.
have an explanation. It was working just a moment ago. Try it again.
He's being a turd.
Still nothing? Well, I suppose there is one thing I can do to fix this. I'm out. Goodbye, Stanley. You couldn't bear to be away from the hole, and now you'll get more time with it than you could ever have asked for. It's a win for everyone. You get to be with the hole, I get to do literally anything else.
This is payback for
Take care, Stanley.
for the skip
I hope
button.
you and the hole have a wonderful rest of eternity together.
I still have a jump left. I'll use the jump. Is the building collapsing? Let me jump out. Let me out of the hole. The hole is eating me? Guess we'll just sit here and count the bricks. There's at least 7 bricks. Change my perspective? It's bold. New innovative look on The Stanley Parable 2. Perception? Chicka-paka. This is the song. Change my reality? This is the one. Everything's a nice sepia. That's puppies. Space. What is that? Oh, I'm just upside down. Oh my god. Oh, I'm on the beach.
Stanley? Stanley? Stanley!
Oh, what?
Oh, good, you're awake. It seems you had sort of dozed off there, drifting away into dreamland. But we can't have that, Stanley.
Let me go back.
Because this hole is just so darn fascinating.
Let me go
that
back.
I want you to be wide awake for every second of it. You don't want to miss a single moment. So how about if I just pop in from time to time and wake you up to keep you really, truly focused on the hole? From the looks of things, you and I will have many, many years here in this hole, and I'm looking forward to all of them. Stay alert, Stanley. I'll be back. Toodle-pip.
Toodle Pip? Who says that? Do I get to go back? Oh, I didn't get to try out all the different realities. Wait, do I have to do everything again?
Here we are. Go on. Try out some of the new features.
So don't get stuck in the hole forever. I guess we'll see if it actually brought us all the way back, or... Do I get to be Jim again? I don't get to be Jim. Fuck. So what all have we done? I think we've done everything in here. There's still the reassurance bucket. There's still, I think the balloons has already been done, right? Yeah. Get well someday. I didn't notice it was rotating before. Use my last jump. It doesn't feel good. Me-man Soku? Hello. This didn't work last time I was in here, but maybe him resetting everything makes it to where I can get this achievement now. Damn it. You don't give me the achievement. I can't be Jim anymore. What even is happening? I used my last jump. I already got the collectible. Exit. Will he let me go back to the infinite hole? The hole is truly infinite. Oh, I can't go back. Do you think the narrator would be mad if I didn't go to the bucket when I just left? It's deep. I think I'll take the bucket. Now that my reality has been shattered, he made me Jim, and then took Jim away. I could use some reassurance.
A common complaint of the Stanley Parable was that it was confusing and paradoxical, that it engendered a chaotic sense of reckless despair in those who played it. Well,
So I can't even have the
I'm
bucket?
happy to say that after much consideration, I've engineered a clever solution to this fundamental problem with the game. It's the Stanley Parable Reassurance Bucket. You see, Stanley, anytime you're holding the bucket, a sense of calm and ease will fill your
Give me the
mind
bucket.
and your heart. It's true. As long as you hold on to the bucket, the many disorienting contradictions of the Stanley Parable will feel perfectly normal and perhaps even comforting. You may even come to long for the gentle embrace of jarring cognitive dissonance while the bucket is in your arms. And to be honest, it's a much more convenient solution for me than actually redesigning the game to be
Cognitive
less uncomfortable. Can you imagine what a pain in the
dissonance?
ass that would be? Yes, the
got, like,
bucket
hiccup
is the
burps
perfect
going.
solution. Come on,
Jeez.
give it a try. Can you feel it? The glow of comfort, even in the face of crushing despair, must already be sweeping through your body. And in fact, can I
Feels
say
good.
that I do believe the bucket lends you an air of charisma as well? I think that just holding it has made you the slightest bit more attractive as a person.
Ooh,
The benefits of the bucket seem to go on, don't they?
they do.
All this and more await you in the Stanley Parable 2.
Thought I was already in the the stroke. The stroke 2. Brought to you by blood clots. Let's roll to see just how charismatic I've become. Because you say it's given me an air of charisma. But how charismatic, really, can one be? Ten charisma. It's not bad. Not bad at all. So I guess out of 20 that'd make it like a 5. I feel so much better
Does
walking
anyone
around
give
this
out
world.
awards for most enjoyable bucket in a video game? That really should be an award if it isn't already.
I guess now we just leave. I've got my bucket. I'm feeling so safe and so unusually happy. Is it the layout for the office? I like it. I like it. That
All
looks
right,
bad.
have you seen everything you wanted to? Ready to move on now?
I just throw the bucket. It's Stanley. New mug. What's this? No screenshots? Okay.
So, Stanley, what do you think? Do you like all of the new features? Yes, I know it's not exactly clear yet how exactly these features will come together as one single coherent video game, but I can feel it in my soul. It's going to work. There's definitely a good game in there somewhere. Say, let's do an experiment. I'll arrange these new features together, and we'll see whether or not it coheres into a meaningful gameplay experience.
Okay. Lay it on me.
Okay. Are you ready? Here it is. I give you the Stanley Parable 2.
I mean,
Well,
kinda
I mean,
small.
there's potential here, right? It's sort of... Okay, never mind.
collectible.
Hold on. Let me do a different arrangement. Okay, yes. Yes, this is much better. I feel good about this. Here we go. Version 2. Who am I kidding,
The
Stanley?
gym button.
This isn't a coherent video game at all. It's a lot of gags. And I do very much enjoy creating gags, but they don't add up to anything. I wanted more than anything to create a sequel that would capture all the magic of the first game. I wanted fans to love it. No matter how good these gags are, they won't stand on their own. They would need the structure and the gameplay of the original. Wait, maybe that's it. I can take the original Stanley Parable and simply, well, insert a few of my new features into it. Tastefully, of course. With
course.
respect. With care for the vision and integrity of the original game. Would it possibly work? I suppose it could. But it would need a really, really tremendous title screen. A title screen that says with bold and uncompromising conviction, "This is the Stanley Parable 2." Let me see if I can whip something up. All right, perfect. Go ahead. Take a look.
We're getting a new title screen? I do like it. It's nice and red. Wasn't there a thing that said Settings World Champion? What was that? Where you close at? Content enables content warnings and an option to skip sections of the game. Deal with trauma and mental health issues. Toggle auto walk? Okay. Begin the game again. Because the end is never the end, is never the end, is never the end. Is never the end, is never the end. Poor narrator. He went through an existential crisis. We trapped him in some sort of liminal space while we were standing in place after pushing the skip button for like a solid 800 years.
This is the story of a man named Stanley.
And it said push to
Stanley
skip.
worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a...
Oops, I skipped. So what do you got for me this time? Ooh, the balloons are here.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
There's scuffing on the floor. I'll say that's a trace of my coworkers. Dude, as soon as I'm done with this game, I'm gonna go eat some taco salad. Ooh. My bucket. I'm about to feel so safe and reassured. I'm looking for that input computer.
Stanley picked up the bucket.
Stanley sure did. More balloons.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
I feel so relaxed. ready to face whatever's beyond this door.
Still no one was here. Stanley needed the bucket's warmth and comfort now more than ever. Perhaps his boss's office was where he'd find answers.
It's not blocked off anymore.
Oh, Stanley, can you feel it?
Ooh.
The broom closet. It wants the bucket. You can feel that, can't you? The aura of jealousy. It's as clear as day. This broom closet
The bucket is
believes
mine.
it deserves the bucket.
There are many like it, but this one is mine.
It's a bucket. It belongs in a broom closet. That's what the broom closet is trying to say here. It's supposed to go with the other cleaning supplies. Good for you, Stanley. Don't give in.
Ooh, almost passed
Don't
out from
hand
that
over
stretch.
the bucket. I know how hard it must be, given the pressure that the broom closet is putting on your shoulders right now, but you have to be strong. This is your bucket. This is your companion and lifelong friend. You can't hand it
I
over.
thought I only met him a couple minutes ago.
We're getting into name-calling now, it seems. Is this how low the broom closet has sunk, that it has to resort to this stream of petty insults simply in order to get you to hand over the bucket?
It's my bucket.
Stanley, I never liked this broom closet for a variety of reasons, but even this is worse than I had imagined. And wait, now the broom closet has the gall to imply that you and the bucket are not truly deep and lasting friends. That your relationship is purely superficial and convenient?
Gasp.
That your life is so banal and meaningless that you'd feel the same sort of kinship towards any inanimate object which happened to lay in your path in an even partially enticing manner? Well, I never.
I mean, you might be right.
Go on, Stanley. Lay into it. Really tell the broom closet off for its demeaning comments.
Listen here,
Expand on the
you-
wide variety of experiences you and the bucket have shared together. Go through each of them point by point. Share your journal entries detailing the rich emotional landscape of your feelings for the bucket as they have changed and evolved over the years.
Now that I've
Let
self-censored
him have
myself.
it.
This is... Look at you with your unpainted walls. Your
Okay,
crappy
I've got you something
plaster
which I
work.
think will help settle this debate once and for all.
Yep.
Here we go. There. Now it's settled.
Yes.
No more debate, no more discussion. Take a hike, broom closet,
Yeah.
with all your meandering philosophical diatribes about the nature of cleaning supplies and their relationship to broom closets in the natural order of things.
Yeah. Fuck off, broom closet. Wait, did you lock? No, you didn't lock.
All right, I've got a second sticker back here, and I'm going to slap it on as well because I think it's appropriate. You see, I feel that it works because the sticker is also a bucket. That way, if you're ever unsure whether the thing you're holding is a bucket or not, you can look down at this sticker and say to yourself, ah, it's a bucket. There really is a wide variety of applications for this sticker.
I don't think that there is.
You know what? I could take the name-calling and the dismissal of your kinship with the bucket, but now the broom closet is just giving us the silent treatment. And to be honest, I'm sick of the pettiness on display. You can stay here all you like, but I've had it with this impetulant room of cleaning supplies. Easily the most childish such room I've ever been in. I'll see you outside, and we can get on with the story about you and your bucket.
Okay.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
I still want to check out the dark... Oh, they're in the game now.
You found one of them. One of the miniature Stanley figurines. Remember, no reward for collecting all of these, only the intrinsic pleasure of a job well done. You can't buy that sort of happiness, Stanley. God knows I've tried. So, I implore you to savor each and every moment you come across one of these beautiful figurines.
Figurines. Let's go up. See what the bucket has to say about the mind control facility. Let's read the new quote. The new... Well, but damn. It's the same. It didn't change this time.
Another miniature Stanley figurine. This, There really must be a snappier name for these things. What about mini-stands? Stanley figs? Or what about Stanlerines? Yes, I think I like that. Another Stanlerine under your belt.
I need to change my reality real quick. Ooh. What about green? What does green look like? Motherfucker. Green? Ooh. I don't like green. It turns blue in the camera. Red it is. Red to ring in the Stanley Parable 2.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed by the weight of this revelation, Stanley may have broken down into an emotional dumpster fire if not for the soothing presence of the bucket. But Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation.
Yeah, it's my safety bucket. Wait, is this open still? No, I didn't think so. Hey!
Okay, I'm going back to the name of these little Stanley figurines, and now I'm torn between Stanlerines and Figlies. What do you
Figlies.
think, Stanley? What name better encapsulates the intrinsic sense of happiness that you get from seeing a small number in the corner of your screen go up by 1? Let me sit on it. I'm sure it will come to me.
First of all, don't say it like that. Second of all, I like Figlies. Am I going to be absorbed into the darkness again? You know what? Not this time. Isn't this what takes me to the Smasher? I'd be like, the narrator has grown jealous of your relationship with a bucket. I do like that it let me go
The elevator
back.
raced downward, plummeting towards an unknown fate. It would be all Stanley could do to keep himself together, if not for the bucket. Soothing him, comforting him, reassuring that in this darkest moment of uncertainty, he would be all right.
Thanks, Bucket.
The bucket is here for you, Stanley. Everything will be fine. Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read, Mind Control Facility.
Okay. Power on.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley and the bucket both wondered to themselves.
Tell me your secrets. I could go for some secrets. One of these desks wasn't here before.
The monitors jumped to life, and Stanley nearly dropped the bucket in shock. Everyone in the office was being videotaped, monitored like guinea pigs. The bucket had never seen anything like this, and it very nearly burst into tears as Stanley cradled it gently, reassuring it that everything would be fine.
Yeah, the bucket had never seen anything like this before. Wait, which way am I going? I was too busy coughing. It's so bright in here.
Was the bucket under the mind control facility's influence as well? Had the bucket been told to do things it didn't wish to do? What kinds of things does a bucket want to do or not want to do in the first place?
So the first
These
time I
questions
turned the
raced
control
furiously
facility
in
on,
Stanley's feeble mind.
and he said I shouldn't have done that, so this time I'm going to turn it off.
No! He screamed into the bucket. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control, never! He squeezed the bucket tighter. His one friend in the entire world. At this point, he could trust no one
That's kind of
except
sad.
for the bucket.
My one friend is a bucket. For I am Jim.
But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he and the bucket would dismantle the controls for good. Two best friends, Stanley and the bucket, up against the world. They high-fived in a really cool way, and the bucket made a sassy comment about taking down the system.
Yeah. Down with the system, man. What is this? Off? What happened?
Stanley and the bucket waited in blackness.
Okay.
Was it over?
I thought the game crashed.
Yes, they had done it. Stanley and the bucket had defeated their greatest and darkest enemy, freed themselves from the tyrannical grip of the evil mind control machine. Freedom was now mere moments away. Excitedly, the two of them began
I'm so
to discuss
glad
the
you're
kind
here
of
to
life they
experience
wanted
this
to
name,
live once
Bucket.
they stepped through this massive door. The
What's
bucket
the
wanted
name
to learn
of
to
the
roller
bucket
skate.
be?
Stanley wanted to sneeze in every country on Earth. Both of them wanted to begin watching a movie, any movie, but then stop it halfway through and begin watching it in reverse from the end. True, it was a simple life they envisioned, but it was one they'd lived together, with one another to lean on, to trust, to support, and...
What?
What? Wait. What was happening? Why had the door stopped? Was Stanley and the bucket not about to be freed? An unbearable silence filled the room, lingering in uncertainty, until finally the truth hit Stanley square in the face. This building did not want the bucket to leave.
The
Even the
building
facility itself
is jealous
recognized
of the
the
bucket?
incredible calming presence of the bucket, needed the soothing warmth of the bucket, will go to any lengths not to part with
It's
the bucket.
my bucket.
No. Stanley can't leave this place. Not while he has such a precious bucket in his arms. Not while this building has anything to say about it. Stanley realized he would never again leave this very room. But at least he has the bucket. To be trapped eternally in darkness isn't really so bad, Stanley thought to himself. As long as I
Or
have my
is
bucket with
the
me,
bucket
right?
telling
I'll
me
be
that?
okay, won't I? Stanley gulped. Very soon now, he was about to find out.
I wonder how hard it is to get every ending. Because the game doesn't ever really end. And on that countdown, the confusion ending, it said that there was an ending where the game restarts on its own, which it's done a lot of that. The philosophy and something ending? Where the hell am I?
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
Where's my bucket?
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. Stanley lifted the bucket into his arms, and a wave of comfort rushed over. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
Okay. This time we're gonna go up the stairs. But we're gonna go through the escape. What? This is... Places to search. Nearby a fireplace. A private but smelly place. For an important person. Somewhere with both red and blue. A large room, lots of boxes. So red and blue, lots of boxes. And I know where the lots of boxes is. Red room. What was the red room? Good luck. Thank you. Is there going to be one in the broom closet?
Stanley, we must move on from this broom closet, simply because I have no remaining stickers. If I did, you can guarantee we'd be in here for hours. But alas, no stickers. Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the
But I
bucket
wanted
walked
more
upstairs
stickers.
to the boss's office.
It did change. It changed back to the original quote. So maybe there's only two? Only two quotes. What did that say again? Business strategy? Harming pandas? Is the elevator different this time? I don't think so. But it's literally an elevator that goes nowhere. Bam, 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 ta, lay. I mean, that was nice while it lasted.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed by the weight of this revelation, Stanley may have broken down into an emotional dump, but Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck.
Just too good.
Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation.
Most certainly. Oh, there's no figlies here? Bam, 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 bam. That tune's gonna be stuck in my head for days. I smell taco salad calling my name. So we're gonna...
Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read, Mind Control Facility.
I think we're gonna take the escape route, and then once it reloads, we'll just call it there. Because I kinda gotta pee, and I'm hungry.
Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley and the bucket would both meet a violent death.
Okay, you know what? We're gonna go to the mind
But of
control
course,
facility.
Stanley and the bucket thought better of it and realized they simply had too much to live for.
And we're gonna try to turn on the machine and see where that gets us.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley and the bucket both wondered to themselves. The monitors jumped to life, and Stanley nearly dropped the bucket in shock. Everyone in the office was being videotaped, monitored like guinea pigs. The bucket had never seen anything like this, and it very nearly burst into tears as Stanley cradled it gently, reassuring it that everything would be fine.
Yes, Bucket, everything will be okay. Just you and me. Because when we turn it off, we almost escape
Was
the
the
facility,
bucket under
but the
the mind
facility
control facility's influence as well?
just won't let the
Had
bucket
the bucket
go.
been told to do things it didn't wish to do? What kinds of things does a bucket want to do or not want to do in the first place?
What indeed?
These questions raced furiously in Stanley's feeble mind.
Feeble mind, huh?
No! He screamed into the bucket. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control. Never! He squeezed the bucket tighter. His
Or
one
it's in the
friend in the
pantry.
entire world. At this point, he could trust no one except for the bucket.
They can't find the taco seasoning.
But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy, or sad, or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he and the bucket would dismantle. But at the last second, the bucket jumped in and pressed the button to turn on the controls. Stanley gasped in horror.
The
Had this
bucket
been the
pushed the
bucket's
button.
plan all along? To take over the machine and claim the power for itself? How could the bucket have betrayed him like this?
How could you?
Stanley was prepared to throw the bucket away in disgust when suddenly an image appeared upon the enormous screen. Birds. Silly, silly birds. The control buttons became active again.
Ooh, flamingos.
Stanley flipped through one video of silly birds after another, and then it dawned on him. This wasn't a mind control facility at all.
Penguins.
It was a facility for monitoring and surveilling silly birds all over the world.
It is a twist ending.
The mind controls were only a facade to disguise its true intentions.
Ooh, hummingbirds.
Had the bucket known this all along? Stanley marveled at the metal genius in his hands, the one who had pointed him towards this incredible discovery.
A duck?
Stanley and the bucket never found freedom because they spent the rest of their lives here in this place, flipping through live streams of the silliest birds imaginable.
Crane or an
Of
egret?
all the possible paths his life could have taken, this one was surely the best.
That one's ugly.
And Stanley was happy.
Ooh. Aren't those the owls that live underground? Well, shoot dang, I guess that's the end of this one. Explore more endings. Ooh. Ooh, that stretch almost gave me a Charlie horse in my rib cage. What the hell? Ooh. Ow. What's at the end of this? Is it just the office? It's a very different office. So we will... Oh, and the sequel is now paused. We get the new loading screen. So I'm Midwest Bud. Thank you very much for watching. I'm going to upload this onto Nighttime Games. I think I should have the correct YouTube channel linked onto Twitch now. So I will see you tomorrow in the next one. Goodbye, Stanley.